Hello everyone, welcome back to Analytical Guy. In this video, we will talk about how you can learn Microsoft Excel from beginners to advanced level. We will talk about how we can work on arrays, we can work on select columns, then we will talk about filters, how we can do named ranges and conditional formatting and so many things that you are maybe not aware of. So we will talk about everything in this video. It will be end to end. We will cover more than 15 case studies in this particular video. So it will be long, but there are so many concepts in this video which will be useful for your job. So let's get started. Alright guys, so now we are on Excel sheet. We have these 15 business cases that we have to discuss about, and then we have a bonus at the end as well. So what are we doing today? So today we will take one sales data set, and then we will try to answer these questions using various functions in the Excel. So there will be basic Excel formulas like sum. Then there will be advanced formulas like using dynamic arrays. We will use filters, we will use choose columns, or we can use various other stuff. So you will get to know how to solve the problems on Microsoft Excel. So we will take all these case studies and then you will be able to understand how to approach with these formulas. So if you follow me step by step, then I can guarantee that you can learn the most important aspect of Microsoft Excel, which is required for data analyst or various other profiles. All right, so let's get started with question number 1. So question 1 is, what is my total sales for electronics in the East region? So now you have this data set. So we have 5 columns: date column, category column, region column, sales column, and unit sold. So if I try to go down, so we have these many records. So of course, in the real time, you will have thousands or millions of records. Right now, I've taken just 20 or 25 records to understand how we can solve these problems, right? So we have 5 columns: date, category, region, sales, unit sold. So first of all, the most important part in Excel is we have to create it as a table. So this is a table, I know, but Excel don't know this is a table, right? So what I have to do is I have to define this as my table. So what I will do is I'll select what my data set is, go to my insert and select table. So it will pop up with the selection, and you have to make it the checkbox as tick if your table has headers. So my table has headers, so I will keep the tick and click OK. And you can change the table name over here. This will be my, let's say, TBL table sales. All right, so this is my TBL SALES sales. All right, so this is my named range. So if I go to my formulas and go to name manager, so this is what I've created now, TBL sales. So if I click on edit, so this will show me, it refers to my sheet number 1, and from the H column over here until L column and this cell. And if your data set increases, let's say if it has one more row, it will expand. So this is how this will go. And I'll explain you why we create this table and what is the purpose of it. Right. So let's get back to the question. The question is total sales for electronics in East region. So if I filter, let's say electronics and click OK, and for East region only, and I try to sum this, if you see over here, it is 18,000. So my answer is 18,000, right? This is what I want, but I can't filter every time, and there would be so many records, so you might not be able to filter it properly, right? So we need to use formulas. So total sales, what I want is, there are 2 conditions. One condition is that region should be equal to East, and second condition is category is equal to electronics. So what I'll use is, I'll use SUMIF's formula. So there are 2 options. So one is SUMIF and second option is SUMIFs. So what is the difference? So SUMIF is when you have just one condition to meet. For example, if you want total sales for electronics, so you'll use SUMIF and you will use the range, and then you can get the total sales. But here I need to meet 2 conditions. So I'll use SUMIFs. It's like multiple conditions. And then what is my sum range? Sum range is sales. You will just drag this. This is, now you can see it is showing me table TBL sales, and then in square brackets it's showing me the column name, right? So this is what name range did. So as we created this table, it is easier to refer now, right? Comma, now what is my criteria range? So my first criteria is category, so I'll again select this, and comma, what is my criteria? Criteria is electronics, so I'll just select this category over here, comma, and what is my criteria range to? It is region, so I'll select this one, and comma, and what is my criteria? It is East. I can select this one and then bracket closed and press enter. So this is what it gives me. So this is all dynamic. So I have referred to as table name, category, and table name region, right? So now if the region is West, let's say, I'll just select this and the value should change here. Why it didn't change? Maybe the value is same. let's say if I change it to furniture, it changed, right? So as you can see here, it is being referred to this cell as well as this cell. So whenever I change these two cells, the value should change. Now if I make it east, it is changing, right? So now it is so easy to find the total sales for any particular category, any particular region, right? Now there's one more thing here. So for example, the category is furniture here. Let's say I am dynamically or like manually typing something else. Let's say I write furniture like this. So my total sales is 0 because there is no category as FURNITU, furniture. There's nothing, right? So there is a better approach. Better approach is to create a drop down. So if you create a drop down, it is easier to refer. For example, we have, out of these categories, I have electronics, furniture, then clothing. So I have, I think, 3 categories right now, right? So if I create a separate cell, a list, for example, I create a list of, let's say, electronics, clothing, furniture, right? Now this is my list and I can refer it over here. But what is my dynamic way to do this? So the dynamic way is, here I will write unique. Unique is my array function. So I'll write unique out of this, right? And press enter. So this will automatically give me these 3 things. But let's say there is a new date. Let's say I copy this and let's say new category is apparel. No, apparel is similar to clothing. Let's say it is footwear, for example. And this is south. And unit sold is 10. So now if you see over here, my list got updated and I can see footwear is also coming here, right? So this is the beauty of it. And you can see this is manual. So of course you can't change it. So I can remove this, right? And now this is my list. So I can just go home and make it here so that it is my category list. All right. So here, instead of typing manually, here I will refer this to the list. So what I can do is go to data and from here select data validation and allow a list, and you can select this range and then go back and then press OK. So now you will see there is a icon and you can easily hover and select particular category. Let's say it is furniture, it will change the value. If I do clothing, it changes. If I make it footwear, it is 0 for east region. For here it should be south and you will get the value. And you can do the same for the region as well, the list. So it can be region list, and currently I'm doing manually east, west, south, let's say north, total 4 regions. So now here you will do dynamic. If I remove this, I can go here, go to data and then press validation list and select this one and press OK. So now you can select anyone and it will give me the correct values, right? So there is a better way of doing a list. So again, the way I created name ranges, click on name manager, click new, and then you can select the list, and it is a better approach, but it is fine right now and you're getting the results. So till now we have understood the concept of SUMIF, named ranges, and creating the list, right? So 3 concepts are already covered. And this is really important. So if you have a data and you want to calculate total sum, so it is really important to understand how you use SUMIFs. So let's say you have to calculate total units for these 2 things, right? So this is your homework. Just try to get this answer, right? So let's try to answer my second question. Let's go to case study 2. So total units sold for furniture in West region. So again, it is all same, right? So I already created the list here for region as well, and I'll just go here and click SUMIF and select the table. Category is equal to this one and the region is equal to this, and you can get the total units sold. All right, so let's get to the third one. Total count of transactions for clothing in East region. So I want to count the total transactions. So if I try to filter this and I want to get for the clothing, and region is East. So I want to count total transactions. Total transactions are count is 8. So this is what I want. Total count of transaction is 8, right? So this is what I'm getting. So what I can do here is, instead of using sum, I will use count. So what I'll do is countIf, and here you can see there are 2 conditions. So I have to use countIfs, right? So my COUNTIF, my criteria range is category and the category, comma, and again it will be my region, comma, and region is my East over here, let's say, and bracket closed. This is showing me 8 for clothing and East, right? So this is all straightforward. If you are able to understand SUMIF, you can easily understand COUNTIF. The only difference in COUNTIF is you don't have to mention the sum range, because this is you're not doing a sum. You just need to count a transaction, so you don't have to add one more parameter. You can see there is just one less parameter than SUMIF, right? So here we are able to solve this problem using COUNTIF function. Now let's try to understand what is my average sales for the electronics. So if I want to understand the average sales for electronics, if I filter this for electronics and see the total sales, here is 36,000, average is 5142. So my average sales for electronics is 5,142.85. How can we achieve that? So the way we did using SUMIFs and COUNTIFs, we have another formula, average if. So if I select average if, and my range for getting the average of sales is sales, and then I want to mention the criteria. Criteria is in this category equal to my electronics, and bracket closed. So what is the problem here? So if you see over here 512, if I do average if on my table or the category, this is giving me division error. What is the problem here? If I go here, if you see the formula average if, it is giving me range. So first of all, I have to mention the range of the sales. That is absolutely correct, the way we did, right? Then what is my criteria? Criteria is this category, right? This category. Now what wrong we are doing here is, so whenever the formula is here, always see the square brackets. In square bracket, it is average underscore range. This is where my sales range should come. And this first range is not my sales, it is my category, right? So if I go back, now for range, the category column is my range, comma, what is my criteria? Criteria is my category is equal to electronics. So I'll select this cell, comma, and now I will go for average range. This is my sales, and bracket closed. This should give me the average. So what is the difference between this and this? So in general, if you go for SUMIFs, COUNTIFs, always you will get to add the sales column first and then add the conditions. But in average, you have to add the conditions first and then you have to add the average value column, right? So that's the difference. You always have to understand this, right? So using average if, you can get the average value for a particular condition. So in this condition, my category is equal to electronics. So in case you have two conditions, category is equal to electronics, region is equal to East, you can add that in this averages function, right? Straightforward. So now let's get to the next case study. So next one is sales for a specific date. So I have this data set, same data set. I want to get the sales for a particular date. So that is my 5th of January 2024. So what is my sales? Here, one option is I can use XLOOKUP. So if I use XLOOKUP, after XLOOKUP, what is my lookup value? I have to look for this date. I have to look for this date in which array? In date array. Of course, this date will be in this column, right? So first I will add lookup value, then I will add lookup array, whatever the value I have to find in which array, comma, what is should be returned. Once I find this value in this array corresponding to that particular value out of the next column, which value should I pursue? Here I want to get sales, right? So I'll get the sales column. So I'll select this and bracket closed. Straightforward. So for this particular date, I'm getting 1500. So if I filter here and filter 5th, and this is my 1500, right? So this is how we can get the value. So for example, instead of this, I had 15th of January. So I'm getting 3000, 15th of January. My value is 3000 over here, right? So this is how you can use XLOOKUP. So now, if you're not able to understand what is XLOOKUP, in XLOOKUP, what we are doing is we are trying to find a particular value. We are looking up. It is there in the formula name itself. We are looking up for a particular value in a particular array, and corresponding to that value in another column, I'm trying to fetch the value, right? For example, I want to fetch for a particular date which category sold. So instead of, so now it will be lookup value as same, array will remain the same. Now I want to get the category instead of sales. So I'll get selection of this category and bracket close. So for this particular date, 15th, category sold was electronics. So it should give me electronics, right? So this is the purpose of XLOOKUP. We can also use VLOOKUP, but in my opinion, XLOOKUP is very powerful and you don't need to use VLOOKUP anyway, right? So in case you are not able to understand anything, I'll share this document Excel file with you so you can practice yourself, because it is really important for you to practice before jumping onto understanding or saying I'm not able to understand, because these are some concepts which takes time sometimes, and if you're new to this, it will take a lot of time. All right, so let's try to answer the case study 6. Find first sales for furniture using index match. So if we say the first sales for furniture will be this row, this is 2nd of January 2024, and answer is 3,000. This is what we want. But next question can be, what is the second sales for furniture? So first one is this, second is this. So answer will be 2,000 in that case. What is my first sales for clothing? This is my first sales, 1,500. What is my last sales for furniture using index match? So furniture last sale is 3,000. So how can you do this? So first of all, I will use index to return a value that is the intersection of row as well as column in that particular range, right? So I will get the sales array, right? Now I will match this with the furniture lookup, and this should be matched with the category, right? So if we are matching furniture with the category in this, now it should be exact match, right? And then close the bracket and again close the bracket and then press enter. So once you press enter, it will give me 3,000. So this is when I'm saying furniture, and I'm saying give me the exact match. Whenever it is the hit, it will give me 3,000, right? So if I change it to clothing, this will give me 1,500. Clothing is 1,500, right? So this is how you can use index match to get the first sale for a particular category or a particular region. So you have to define that. So another homework is, if my region is East, right? What is my sales, first sales for furniture? Just try to answer these questions and I'll give you the answer booklet for each and every question, which you can download and then you can refer that. Coming to the next case study, it is list all unique categories in the dataset. So this is my dataset and this is my categories, right? So I just want to list all the unique categories, and I've already done that previously as well. So I'll just use the unique function. So if I say unique of my category and bracket closed, this will give me everything, right? So if I say unique of this and this will give me bracket closed. This will give me reference. So generally when we say dynamic array and we refer to the end or the last row using pound, but in this case, this won't go at the end because this is my data set and I'm not referring it correctly. It should be defined first to be referred. So let's say I created this using unique. Now this is my dynamic array. Now I can refer this. So for example, I want to count how many categories are there. So let's say count of categories. So here I can say count A, because count A gives me all the count of number of cells that are not empty. You can read this, right? So count A, I'll say this one and then dollar. So if I say dollar, it will hover till the end, right? And then bracket closed. So this will give me count as 3. Now, why dollar? The dollar means this will append till the end. For example, here I add footwear, right? So this will again change. So what if I, instead of dollar, I wrote D8 till D11 or D10, right? So this will give me 3, but now my records have changed. There is one more category. So it should dynamically change. I should not write this. Instead of, I have to write dollar so that it keeps on increasing. The values keeps on updating over here, right? So there are two things which we learned over here. First is, out of a particular list, I can get the unique categories. So I got the unique categories using unique. And then if I want to count the number of categories, I can easily use count A and then using this pound symbol, right? One last thing in this particular case study. So if you want to sort this list, you can use sort option before unique and then bracket close over here, and then it will be sorted. You can see C, E, F, F, right? So this is really impressive. This is really good, and this will kill your Excel, and it will be really good. I mean, we all use in day-to-day job while working on Excel, so this is really good. Now coming to case study 8, list all the records with the sales greater than 3,000. I want to have another table. Out of this table, wherever the sales is greater than 3,000. So here I have to filter. This is my array, right? Oops. So this is my array, right? Comma. Now I want to filter for sales whenever this column is greater than 3,000. So whenever it is greater than 3,000, give me those records, bracket close and press enter. So now in this one, you will get all those records wherever the sales is greater than 3,000. And you can change the data type of this date. You can go to general, change it to short date, and it will be fine. Right now here, there are a couple of things. So first of all, if you see here, TBL sales 8, right? And then TBL sales 8, this is my table name. I'm not again and again changing the dynamic name range. So as I explained, go to formulas, click on name range. So these are all already created by myself. So I explained you how you created TBL sales, right? So again, whenever there is a new data set, you will first of all create a table, select that table, go to insert and click on table. Once you create a table, then it's better to work on all these aspects, right? So now in this case study, we understand how we can use a filter function to filter out a particular data set. So if you say in general, what we do, we select filter, and for example, if we just want to have sales greater than 3,000, I'll just go a number filter greater than 3,000 and it will give me all those values. Press OK, right? So this is what I'm getting here, right? This will be the same values as this, but I don't want to use these filters. I just want to have a new table which can be added in the new dashboard or somewhere where you can refer or stakeholders can refer later on. So this is really important to work on. Now coming to the next case study, that is transactions with top value sales. So now if you want to have the transaction with top sales value, so if we have thousands of record and I want to see which record has the highest sale, how can you do that? So I want to have those transactions. I use filter again, right? Array would be the same, comma. Now my sales value should be maximum. So it should be equal to max of, again, sales column, and then bracket closed. So here, as you can see here, this is my date. I can go back to this and change it to short date. So according to this data, this is my maximum sales. I can cross-check that. So if I go here, I can make it largest to smallest, for example. This is the record that I wanted and this is what I'm getting, right? So what I did, so if I tell you again, I used filter. So first of all, I want to filter, I want to make it smaller. So I'm slicing the data, right? Slicing this array, right? Selected this array, comma. Now what I want to include? I want to include all those transactions wherever my sales value is equal to maximum. So I want to select that record where the sales is maximum. So I'll select sales equal to the max of my sales, right? So if you see over here, this max of sales is singular, right? So this will give me one value. And whenever the column is equal to that particular value, it will give me that transaction. What if my sales 8,500, that is maximum, is twice? For example, I change it over here and make it 8,500. So this will give me twice because I want all those transactions wherever it is the top sale value, right? So top sale value is 8,500. So if it comes, let's say 3 times, so it will give me 3 records. So this is how it works, right? So one more thing, what you just saw, what I did was whenever I created a array using filter function, right? In this particular array, for example, in this, I wanted to modify. Let's say I want to make it, instead of 8,500, I want to make 10,000. So, and then press enter. This gave me a spill error. So what it does is, you can't change the dynamic arrays. Once you create using filters or whatever, so once you created a new table out of a table, you can't change that. And this is good in a way because you are trying to create a new authentic table using a particular condition, right? So you don't want to change it again and again. All right, so let's get to the next case study, that is counting the unique sales date. So I have, let's say, thousands of records. I want to count the unique sales date because you won't be having sales on every day. For example, you have sales on 1st of January, 5th of January, 10th of January, and 20th of January. right? So I don't remember, it is 4 count or 5 count. So you need to count all those unique sales date, right? So how you can do that? So first of all, I want to get all the unique dates. So I can use the unique function, unique, and then this is my array, and then press enter. Let's see what happens. So this will give me all the unique records, right? So this is my list, but out of this list, I want to count all these lists, right? So it's very straightforward. I just use count A on this and bracket closed. This will give me the total count of unique sales date. This sounded tough, but this is so easy, right? So you just need to count the unique sales. So just make it unique and then use the count A to count all those unique values. All right. So next case study is sales of most recent date. So I want to calculate the sales for the latest date. So latest date would be 25th of January over here, right? So I want to get 2800, right? How you can get that? So I will use the filter function again. So I will use filter and I want to filter this. I want to get the sales of most recent date, right? So I'll just use this. Let's say I want to filter. I will use this array. Then I want to include the sales. But again, I don't want to include just sales. I'll just say I want to have date equal to max of my date, right? And then bracket closed. So now what this will give me is a complete transaction for that latest date. So this is my latest date. If I go to date, this is my 25th January. If you see, this is my matching 25th January clothing East 2800, 20 units sold. So I can copy the headers and my total sales is 2800. So this is my sales of most recent date. I can also use XLOOKUP. Using XLOOKUP, I can get the sales of most recent date. This is your homework. Using XLOOKUP, how you can get the sales of most recent date. And once you're done, you can just comment below on the video. I will share the document with you all. You can refer that for the solution. Coming to the next question. So we are already done with 11 case studies. So we have tried to understand so many things. And there are a couple of more concepts that I will try to cover in next 3-4 case studies. So let's continue with that. In this particular case study, I want to filter transactions by category and region. So I want to have all those transactions where the category is furniture and region is East, for example. So if I do it manually, I want to have all the furnitures and I want to have all the East region. So this is what I want, right? Using the formulas. So now here I will use filter again, filter on this particular array and then bracket closed, comma. And instead of just always doing like this, you can always say, if you know the table name, so you'll just say TBL sales. And if this is 12, as I know, so it will automatically select, right? Now, comma. Now what I want to include, I want to have categories equal to furniture, right? So I'll say category equal to furniture, right? Bracket closed. Let's see what happens. So now here, this will give me all the records wherever the category is furniture. But here it is giving me region for East as well as West. I want East only, or whatever is mentioned here, right? So again, going back to the formula, I will make it in one bracket, create a new bracket, and here mention that condition. Condition is this region is equal to this region, and bracket closed. Here, whenever you have to get two conditions, category is equal to furniture and region is equal to East, you will multiply. You will use a asterisk between these two. This means use both, not either. So you have to meet this condition as well as this condition to get the transaction. So you have to follow these two conditions. So that means you have to use asterisk and then press enter. So this will give me all the records with category furniture, region East. Now, if you want to filter by, let's say, category clothing, or my region is East. So if my category is clothing or region is East, then give me all those transactions. So what I can do is, I can again do filter, then TBL sales 12, comma. Now I want to have category equal to clothing, right? This bracket closed, and new condition is region is equal to East. Now, if this was both are important, like it should be category is equal to clothing as well as region is equal to East, I would have used asterisk symbol. But if it is either of these conditions, there is an or, right? So I will use plus instead of asterisk. So plus means either this or this is true, then give me those transactions. Press enter. This will give me all those transactions for either clothing or East or both. Alright, so now let's try to solve the case study number 13. This is slightly harder, but if you have studied so far and you're able to understand everything, this will be easier. Now, we will try to extract the sales data on the basis of year. So now we have this data set. It can be in thousands right now. We have 300 records somewhere. Now we have data for 2023, 2024, and we want to get the sales for that particular year. I want to have this format. How can I do that? First of all, I need to extract all the years. For that, I use year function and do this on this particular column and press enter. So I'll get all those years for that corresponding transaction. But I don't want these values to be repeated, right? So I just want to have 2023, 2024. So for that, instead of having the complete year, I'll just take unique values. If I take unique function, it will give me just 2023 and 2024, as we have seen previously as well. And if you press enter, you will get 2023 and 2024. That is perfect. So we are done with the column 1. Column 2, that is sales. This is slightly tricky. I'll again use SUMS function and do the sum range on sales column, and then criteria range 1 would be my date, right? On this date, I want to have this date should be less than equal to, or say, let's say for 2023, I want it to be greater than equal to 1st of January 2023, right? So for that, I'll say it is greater than equal to 2023 and extract the year, or let's say extract the complete date, and year is my 2023, comma, month is 1st, comma, 1, bracket closed. This is my first condition, comma. Criteria range 2 is again on date, so select the date again. Now, the criteria would be this time less than equal to, right? And date is on the basis of year. So if I go here, it will be on the basis of this year, comma, and this time it should be less than equal to 31st. Sorry, month should be December, that is 12, and day should be 31st, right? Bracket closed, and again close, and then you can press enter, and you can get the sales value of 2023. Now, you can drag this below, and you can get this for 2024. Drag it at the right, and you get the 0, because this is not right. Because instead of sales, now I have units sold, which is perfect. What changed? So here, if I dragged it over here, it should be fixed, right? My J column should be fixed, so I'll take dollar and here as well. And instead, 6 also should be fixed, right? So I can save this. Now you can drag this. All right, so it is taking J6. My date is greater than this. Date is less than equal to this. This is perfect. Okay, again, this is taking units sold. This is for 2023. If I say table 13, which is this, I'm saying unit sold is this column. If I just select this patchy, this is unit sold. And then I'm saying category. Oh, okay. So when we shifted this formula towards here, this instead of date, it is referring to category. So this is important, you know, this is what you have to see. So you can just change it to date, and you can change it to date, and then press enter. This is how you can get the value. Now here, unit sold, date is fine. This should be my 7. So again, I don't need to fix that, which I fixed here, right? And then you can get the value of this as well. So now we have what we wanted. We have year 2023, 2024. For both of the years, I want sales and unit sold. So this is amazing. So if we have thousands of record, I can have for 2023, 2025, then sales, unit sold. If I want to have more columns, let's say I want to have total categories in that particular year, right? So here I can do the count for that particular conditions. So this is your homework. If you want to have total categories and regions present, right? So if you want to have this as well, so how we can do that? So this is really interesting if we can understand how to use filter function, how to use sumifs, how to use countifs, and then mixing up all these things to get the perfect match. Now, let's try to answer a new case study, that is list all the transactions with the sales greater than 8,000. Now, we have this data. I want to list all the transactions where the sales is greater than 8,000. So it's straightforward. So I can just say filter this column, right? And then I can again say wherever this is greater than 8,000, give me. So it will give me all those values. I can just sort this as well. So I'll just say sort and then bracket closed. This will give me sort from low to high. I can change the sorting from high to low as well, but this is fine. So now these are all the transactions which are above 8,000. How to get the count of it? So this is done, list of all the transactions with sales greater than 8,000. Now I want to get total transactions above 8,000. I want to get this count. This is very straightforward. I'll just say count, or rather count A, and I'll say this one and then pound. So what pound will give me is, because this list of all the transactions is dynamic. Right now maybe it is total count is 10. It can be 15, it can be 20, it can be anything, right? So I just say A7 and pound. It will refer till the bottom and then press enter. These are 24 records, right? So if you see this one is the last one, if I change to, let's say 5,000, right? So here it should be 5,000. This values changes. So there are so many records. Now total transactions are 154, right? So I can just change it to make it dynamic, right? And this is this. Yeah, you can just make it, you can modify it as per your choice. So now if I want to go with this, now my total sales, what is my total sales? So I just want to sum this. So I'll just say sum of my first cell and then pound. If I say pound, it will extract the last record, right? And press enter. So this will give me total sales. I can make it like this. Now what is my average sales? So I'll just go to average and take this and then pound and press enter. This is so easy. Once you understand how to work with the arrays and how to use the dollar symbol, then it is slightly easier. Yeah. So in this case study, we understood how to use filter, count, average, unique, sort, all those kind of things, and then how to use the pound symbol as well, right? Now we are almost approaching to the end. There are 2 more case studies, so let's complete that as well. This one, filter the data set and select only the desired columns. So if I want to filter the data set and select a particular column, how can I do that? So I just want to have date column, I want to have region, I want to have sales. So I'll just say filter. I want to select all those arrays, but what I want to include? I want to include everything. For example, press enter. So you have entered too few arguments for this function. So whenever you're using filter, so once you have included this array, so with this, give me the condition. Let's say I want to have all the categories, which is clothing, right? Press enter. So now I have all these records, but now out of these records, I just want to have date, then I want to have region and then sales. So here, before filter, I will use choose columns formula. Now I have this array, comma. What are the columns I want to choose? I want to choose the date, that is 1, comma. I don't want to have category, so 2 is nowhere required. Third is region, I want this, so 3, comma. I want sales, that is 4. I want this, and then bracket closed. So once you enter, you will have date, you will have region, you will have sales, and you have had this condition that the category is equal to clothing. right? So this is how you can choose columns. So it is really handy because if we have, let's say, 50 odd columns, out of 50 odd columns, I just want to have an array of, let's say, 10 columns, which are really important for me. I can choose them with the indexing, right? The indexing we did here, 1, 3, 4. All right, so now we are at the last segment of this video, and this is a bonus for you all. So we will try to understand this category report. So we have category name furniture, and for furniture we have this data, and this data has been prepared on the basis of filter. We have done filter on the data that we have and then applied this category column is equal to this particular cell, right? And then we can get this particular data. If I change from furniture to, let's say, clothing, I will get this data, and we can create a drop down as explained previously, and this will be fine. But now I want to answer these questions. So how many transactions are there? So as we did, we always use count A, right? So I'll just use count A and select all these transactions and return. This is giving me 103. If I select this, this is 103, that is fine. But if I change it, if I change to furniture, and now for furniture also it is 103, but this time it should be 113. So what is wrong? So it is not dynamically changing. Instead of this, if I say, let's say, use the pound symbol. So this is giving me 565. Total records are 113. I think 565 is 113 multiplied by 5 because we have 5 columns. So what it does is it selects, it counts all the cells in this particular array. Because when we do pound, it is selecting the complete table, right? Instead of this, we can use rows. So what we have to do is just do rows and select the array. What happened? Let's do it again. If I say row and then bracket closed, this time it is 114. What is the wrong thing we did? So when I selected array, I selected this header as well, which is not right. So I always have to start with the first row. So this is my total transaction. If I change it to clothing, again, this is 113. Here, change it. If I do C18 and then do pound and then press enter, it is showing me 103 for clothing, which is equal to 103. If I go back to furniture, it is 113. Now this is changing, right? So whenever we are working with dynamic arrays and we want to count the transactions, instead of using count A, use rows formula. This will give me the accurate answers. Now, if I want to calculate the region list, so what is my region list? So we have East, West, South, North. Currently, we just have 2 or 3 regions, so it is straightforward kind of. But if we have multiple regions or multiple categories, we can list that, right? So let's say if I want to get unique of all the regions. So I just say region from here, bracket close and enter. So this is spill. Why? Because it is trying to go below, but it is not happening because there is already text there. And instead of unique, I somehow created unique char. Anyways, so again, this is spill, right? So instead of this, before unique, I want to have transpose. So if I transpose, so instead of going vertically down, it will go horizontally at the right side and then press enter. So it will give me east, west. So if we have more regions, it will just cover these things. And then this is how we will work on this. All right. So now total sales and total unit sales again are your homework. Just try to do it yourself. I'll just try to work on average sales. So if I say average of my sales and bracket closed, this will give me average of 5270.68. But if I change it to clothing, this is 5240. And if I say select here, it is 5240, which is exactly right. If I change it to something else, it will change. But somehow this value might not always be correct. So that's why we will always want to use pound. But this time it won't work because as I explained you, this don't go till the bottom average function. So if I say this is giving me reference. So what I can do is I can take the average and inside average, I'll take the index. Once I do indexing, I can refer to a particular column where I want to do the average. So I can say index on this array, comma, index on 4, bracket closed, and press enter. So this is also not giving me the correct answer. Why? So if you see over here, so I just go here, average, and I say indexing of this particular array, comma, then if you see the formula of index, in index first we do array, then we do row number. So after this array, I'll have row number. So instead of this, I don't want to have a particular row number, so I can keep it blank and then comma. Now I want to have a column number that is 4. Then bracket closed and then again bracket closed. This should give me the correct average. So if I see here, this is 5204. What problem that we were facing in this one is I was referring 4 in the row, right? So I, instead of this, give me the space and this will give me the correct value, right? So now if we change the category, this will change dynamically and this is all correct, right? And if we have multiple records, if we have thousands, this will always include all the values, right? So in overall, if we do the recap, so if we see here, we have answered all these 16 questions and we can tick mark all these things, right? So what is the first important part if we see over here? There is one more thing that you can see in Excel that we can do, use checkboxes. So if we search, generally it is in data, and if we see checkbox, this is the one, right? Oops. So, okay, so this will find the checkbox. Otherwise, if I go to data, and I think it was here. Yeah. So if we see insert, right, in the ribbon, we have checkbox. So if you want to, let's say, create a new list, let's say you want to create a to-do list. So you'll say, watch this analytical guy, Excel tutorial, then study data modeling, read novel at night, wake up at 6 a.m. So these are to-do lists for you, and you want to have a checkbox over here. You can have this and you can track this. So yeah, let's say you watch this video, so tick mark, study data modeling. Once you're done, you can do this, and this can be kind of a checkbox, like a list that you can create. So coming back, so we have worked on all these 16 cases, and I think this will give you a comprehensive idea of how and what Excel is all about. And there are so many things. There is a pivot tables, then creating up Excel dashboards and all those things. But I think working on formulas is really important if you're working on finance data, if you're working on sales data. So these formulas will always be coming handy. So I would really suggest you watch this again and download the files, try to work on the worksheet yourself, and because practice will make you perfect. Practice is really important. You can pause the videos again and watch this, how it's done. So yeah, I mean, this is it for this particular video. Thanks a lot for watching the video, guys.